images you're seeing represent the more than 6.5 million square feet of warehouse space in facilities purpose-built and owned by the Crown Worldwide Group. For nearly half a century, Crown has been providing global mobility and relocation services to multinational corporations, diplomats, and private customers, moving people from location to location, across town, and throughout the world. Hi, I'm Camille Dixon. Today I'll be speaking with Jim Thompson, chairman of the Crown Worldwide Group, a privately owned company that serves customers from over 250 locations in some 60 countries, employing over 5,000 staff. Now, Crown also specializes in moving precious artwork for museums and galleries around the world, handling the logistics of large and small non-household items, and managing more than 20 million cartons of business records through its records management division. And here is the man behind it all, Jim Thompson. Welcome, Jim.
Thanks, Camille.
So how does one man create a company, a global company, the size of Crown Worldwide Group?
Well, the reality is it's not one man that creates the company. It's a whole bunch of people, especially to the size we've grown today. As you mentioned, we have a staff of 5,000 and a lot of wonderful people around the world who have dedicated themselves to building this business as to one of the finest companies in the world in our industry. And so we've been very successful because of the people, and it goes way back to the wonderful people I had in the original days back in Japan in 1965. From the day the company was formed, we knew that we had to do it right or the customers wouldn't come back. So it was sort of ingrained in my mind that we were going to be a quality company. That's all I could think about. So as we grew, we kept keeping high standards all the way through the development of the business. And I think today we're looked at as one of the most high-quality companies in the world, but it's not something that you can just take for granted at any time. The customers have expectations. We always want to try to exceed their expectations and sort of blow them away with the great service we do. So there are many people that we have moved many times, and they keep coming back to us. So I think we've got a lot of loyal customers now. There is no other company in our business that has a network like we do. A network of businesses in any business, but particularly in a service business, is critical. If we do a great job in one location, people expect us to do a great job in the other location. So we really work hard on making that network have a high standard of service all over the world.
And now you've also diversified into other areas. What are some of those areas?
One of the main things that happened in our industry was we were basically a moving and storage company, and we moved shipments internationally. But a lot of the major corporations that we were serving, and also some of the government bodies we were serving, had looked for their employees to have more than just the moving service. They wanted to get them relocated and have additional services like finding homes or getting their children into school or some cultural training, some language training. And they came to us and said, can you do that as well? So we formed a division of the company which we called the Global Mobility Services, which supplemented our moving service. Most of the major companies expect people like us to do that. But in addition to that, we diversified into what we called records management. And what that is the storage of business documents that are needed to be retained by companies, either legally or by choice. And they have to be kept in an outsourced position because they're too expensive to keep in the expensive office buildings. Businesses like banks or accounting firms or law firms, they have all this paperwork and documentation, and we then developed a service to outsource that. We also do scanning and imaging and other related services for these documents so they can access them very easily.
So now, one other division is, of course, Crown Logistics. Tell me a little bit about that one.
Well, the word logistics is another word, in my view, for transportation. It's an all-encompassing word, but there are specific parts of it that we have chosen to take part in. We actually store and distribute high-fashion items, so all the brand names that you might find in shopping malls and that sort of thing, those goods are in our warehouses and they were distributed to the shops as are needed. So that's one aspect. We call that storage and distribution. But we do, on the other end of the spectrum, some heavy equipment like oil field supplies, even oil rigs themselves. So we have quite a wide variety. And we also do a lot of work for hotels and restaurants that move these furniture and fixtures around, and we do the installation. But we also do the fine arts business as well.
Now, fine arts sounds very interesting. How did you get involved in that?
Well, in one of the acquisitions that we made in Europe, a company called Lavanchi, they had a position in this business in Paris, and it was really related to serving museums with all this precious artwork and that they had. And also we were noticing that this was globalizing, that a lot of the origins of these precious pieces were being asked if they would ship them to countries like Beijing or South America and Brazil and this sort of thing. And they needed the service of being able to delicately handle and pack and crate and ship these around the world. We had all our offices and we were used to handling delicate items, so we developed specialized people to handle these things. And now we operate this fine arts business not only in Europe, in Paris and Italy and the UK, but also throughout the Middle East and Asian cities as well. And it's become a very, very nice business for us.
Now, I understand in 2001 you created the newest division of Crown Worldwide. Tell us about that one.
You're talking about the Crown Wine Cellars. This is my favorite subject. I love talking about this. So this was intended to be a bit of a hobby because I love wine, but it does relate to what we do because we're a storage company. So we decided to find a place to store and let wine mature for collectors. And so in Hong Kong, we found some underground bunkers that had been built for World War II and had been unused. We rented them from the Hong Kong government, and we converted them into ideal wine storage facilities. And as we did that, a lot of the wine collectors said, that's perfect, that's exactly what I wanted. So we rented them space to keep their wine. And since I love wine too, we also set up a little wine tasting place there and a restaurant. And now it's become a real business.
So what does the future hold?
The future? Well, I'm very optimistic. We have a very bright future. We are very financially sound, and we have a wonderful team of people. What we will do in the future is we will continue to look for areas of the world where we can expand globally, geographically. We will look for places where we want to invest our money to build warehouses because we're not speculators, we're end users, so we'll be filling those warehouses with documents, records management, or other services that we provide. And we will look for acquisitions that fit into our system. And I think that there's just so much more we can do based on the development we've reached to date. We are a very solid company with a wonderful team, and I think the future is very, very bright.
It certainly looks that way from here. It sounds very promising. Jim, thank you for taking the time to talk with me today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.